Okay, hope you're comfy because I have a bunch of fiction books to show you here, and they're fiction for all ages. So, I'm a fiction gal. I love fiction. I love getting to snuggle up with my kids and read a story that takes us somewhere else, escape reality a little bit. I love getting to laugh at a funny story. I love the way it increases their imagination. I just love it all. So let me show you some of my favorites of this new release, and I know you're gonna fall in love too. For our littlest readers, we have Baby Bear, an adorable little book that shows Baby Bear scampering here and tumbling there. It's a rhyming story where that he goes and visits all of his woodland friends with a surprise at the end. I think it's very cute. The newest addition to our Are You There books is Are You There Little Dinosaur? These books have cutouts on the pages as well as finger trails and, kind of decorative pages throughout because there's lots of surprises in this book. We are looking for Little Dinosaur, and at the end, of course, we found him, but there was a lot of roadblocks along the way. It's time to introduce you to Millie Mae, a brand new series. We have Millie Mae Through the Seasons and Millie Mae Loves to Play. And in each of these hardback books, there are 4 delightful stories inside. In Millie Mae Loves to Play, we see her dressing up. We see her playing outside. We see her on a windy day getting to play with a kite. And we see her at the lemon tree as well and kind of creating a tea party. So, or not a tea party, a lemonade party, I guess. And then Through the Seasons, same idea, but she is going through the seasons and finding the right clothes and experiencing the things that are in those seasons. I told you I love to laugh at books, and this one had me giggling throughout. Now that's a hat. This is one that we read, I think the first time we read it 4 times in a row. We would get to the end and we would read it again. It is very cute. We have this guy here who wants to find a new hat, and this is a rhyming book, which I love. And he gets help finding what, is probably the right hat for him. But then he's like, do you have anything else? And so he gets shown all of these really silly hats throughout. I'm not going to show you the whole thing because there is a surprise at the end that I don't want to mess up for you. But this was Hudson, Sadie, and Christina approved. If you are expecting or you know someone who is, I definitely recommend Soon. It is precious. Number one, just how sweet are the illustrations here? It's a textured cover too, which I love. It just has a really nice hand feel to it. It would be a really special gift because of just the way it feels and looks. But it's about an older sibling waiting and waiting for their baby to come, and they keep asking when the baby's coming, and of course mom keeps saying soon, and then we get to see baby come. We have another new series, The Wrong Fairy Tale. I love fractured fairy tales. In this series, we currently have Goldilocks and the 3 Pigs, and we have Jack and the 3 Bears. You can probably imagine that things are not your typical fairy tale in these. So here we start off with Goldilocks, but of course she is at the wrong place. Nothing is really going the way you would expect, and it is just a really cute story. Same for Jack and the 3 Bears. They do a great job of combining the 2 stories and recognizing that they may not be in the correct story in these books. Never show a T-Rex a book. You can't even imagine what's going to happen. In the same vein as If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, we now have Never Show T-Rex a Book. It really reminds me of those If You Give a Mouse a Cookie books, because once you give a T-Rex a book, it's it's game over. All sorts of crazy things are going to happen. This is a really just cute, funny book that celebrates reading, that celebrates the imagination and just magic of books. Adding on to our yoga animal series, we had yoga animals in the forest. Now we have yoga animals at the seashore. And in this series, you get to make your body match the different animals in the book. There's a little story that goes along with it, where Crab is feeling really grumpy. And these are the different ways that he can move his body to try to feel better. The different animals that he goes and talks to give him advice on how they might move their bodies to feel better. If you love Miss Molly's School of Manners, then you have to check out Miss Molly's School of Kindness. The Manners book is one of our all-time favorites. And so when my kids saw that we have a new Miss Molly book, we had to get it. Much of these books are told in speech bubbles. These are just a wonderful way to kind of reinforce ways to be kind and ways to show kindness. But you have a cute, just silly story that helps teach those lessons. I get asked all the time about like the best books for the classroom, and I have my list of ones I always recommend, and this one is going on it. The Perfect Fit. I love this, of course, for home use as well, but I love this for the classroom. I think it has a great lesson, and it's a simple enough story that even our youngest readers can understand and enjoy. So this is about Triangle, who loves to play with circles, but always feels a little different. So then she tries to go and play with squares and hexagons and such, and really then finds, hey, I found my people. I found who I look like, who I'm shaped like, but misses playing with all of those other shapes as well. And so then decides there are ways for us to all play together and create these kind of new groups. And of course, we are learning about shapes too at the same time. I'm a big fan of collections, like story collections, and so I had to get the new Aesop's Fables for Little Children book. In this, it is a collection of 6 stories. Don't judge me how long it took me to count that out. And these are told kind of for younger readers, so there's not too many words on each page. They're going to be just the right length for those shorter attention spans, but also be able to get that moral or lesson across to them. Really cute illustrations in these, and kind of give you the idea of the size. This is the same size as our fairy tales for little children, which is I'm a big fan of as well. So if you don't have that one, check that one out. Okay, I have to fess up, I haven't actually read this one yet. I bought it for Hudson, and he's finishing up the Percy Jackson series, so he's like, I want to read it, Mom, but I haven't had a chance yet. So, but I wanted to show you because I was super excited about it when I saw it. It's part of our Illustrated Stories collection, and of course, those always have these beautiful illustrations to go along with it. This is Illustrated Stories of Dragons, of course, as you saw on the cover. And so if you have a dragon lover or kids who love fantasy, then this might be a good one for you. The 10-minute stories books, we already had the 10-minute stories and 10 more 10-minute stories. Now we have 10 10-minute animal stories. I love these. Every time that I talk to someone about these, they're like, that's one of our favorite books. It feels like good in your hands. It's like a good size when you're sitting there reading it. And it always has good illustrations, and the stories are like just the right length for bedtime. Here are the stories that are included. So you can see it's a lot of those classic stories that you may already be familiar with. But I have found that my children like reading the same story but in a different book. to compare and contrast. And it's not something that I have like done a lesson on with them or anything. They just like reading different versions of a familiar story. And so don't be turned off by the fact that you may already have some of these stories, because every time that you get it in a different book, it's going to have different illustrations. They're going to word things differently, and sometimes just the way, like whatever culture it was written in, it might be have a different take on it. So you can see each of the stories has a different style of illustrations, so each story feels unique. But all, of course, really lovely illustrations, colorful on every page. Great book to have on hand for bedtime. We added another one to our Forgotten Tales series. This is Forgotten Fairy Tales of Kindness and Courage. Again, look at these illustrations. I think that this is something that they are adding a lot more books every release like this, kind of longer stories with more illustrations, to help those kiddos who need that, maybe who are a little more reluctant to read, that need the pictures to go along with it. These are good ones for that. And these are stories that are not your typical fairy tales. That's why it says Forgotten Fairy Tales. So these are not familiar stories, but they are all stories that are centered around kindness and courage. Freddy's Amazing Bakery. There are 2 so far. We have the Great Raspberry Mix-Up and the Cookie Mystery. Now, I haven't read this one yet, but the kids and I read this one in, I think it was 1 day, maybe 1.5 days this week, and it's really cute. We love baking here, so I think that helps. And if you were like our family and watched the Great British Bake Off at all over quarantine on Netflix while we're all stuck at home, then you'll like these. You know, this is all about a baking competition that this boy Freddie is entered in, and there's a big raspberry mix-up, as it says in there, and he has to overcome, but it does have good lessons as far as kindness and generosity and doing the right thing, that they matter. My Sadie was so excited when I told her we had new Billy B. Brown books coming out. When I opened the box, she was like, "Where are those Billy B. Brown books?" And she took them upstairs and then came back down like 20 minutes later and had read all of them. So I'm thankful that these were her first chapter books just a few months ago, and these were, you know, kind of her just right level, and she's grown so much that it's just crazy for me to think that. But we have 3 more if you love Billy B as much as we do. There's the Honeybees and the Grumpy Neighbor and the Hat Parade. And I asked Sadie, well, my friends are gonna wanna know which one was the best one. And she said the Hat Parade was her favorite, but she learned a lot in the Grumpy Neighbor. So, so there you go, you know, lessons from a 6-year-old. If you're not familiar with the Billy B. Brown books, I love these as a first chapter book, because there are no more than 50 words on a page. There are illustrations and kind of word art to go along with it throughout the book. There are never any hyphens at all, so every word ends at the end of a line, and there are never any words that go to sentences that go to the next page. So they're great for new readers, and they are great for kiddos who maybe have dyslexia as well. We also have 2 new additions in our popular Bear Grylls Adventures series. We have the Sailing Challenge and the Arctic Challenge. And if you're not familiar with these, think Magic Treehouse, but with Bear Grylls, and a slightly older reading level there. But in each of these, a child finds themselves in a particular situation, and then this magical compass takes them to a different place, and they're paired up with Bear Grylls, and he teaches them lessons in survival and about the earth and conservation and that in particular environment. So there's a lot of really practical knowledge in these books, as well as kind of a magic element to keep it fun and lighthearted. So Sadie lucked out with this release because it felt like, as far as the chapter books and things that were released this time. They were definitely more up her alley than Hudson's alley. So she got a lot of like Sadie specific books in the box. And the ones she was the most excited about were the next 4 Sticker Dolly chapter books. She is obsessed with these, you guys. There were 2 that were released in our last release during the summer, and I shared those with you last time, and I know a lot of you have kiddos now who have fallen in love with those. There's 4 more. There's Baby Dragon, Castle in the Clouds, Mermaid in Trouble, and Ice Palace. And if you're not familiar with these, at the front they have a page of stickers that you can put onto the sticker dollies. This introduces the sticker dollies, and they just go on these magical adventures. One more new series to show you, My Secret World of Unicorns and Mermaids. These are so fun. I actually love they look like chapter books, but you can totally use these with a little younger children who are interested in mermaids or unicorns. Let me just kind of show you the inside of one of them, and then imagine, unicorns as well. So it follows one, particular mermaid or unicorn, and there are activities throughout. So you get to find your mermaid name, and you get to draw what it's going to look like when you meet your mermaid. And then it shows you fact files of different mermaids. And there are stories in there, as well as coloring pages, as well as recipes. My daughter, who tells me she's a meatitarian because she hates vegetables, is super excited to make seaweed sandwiches because this book told her to. I don't know if she'll actually eat it, but the fact that she's willing to try it because this book said to, that's a reason enough to buy it right there, I think. So anyway, there are several stories, there's activities, there's I think 2 recipes in each of them. Very colorful and interactive. They're really fun.